How important has the offseason been for the Bucks to be ready to compete against the Eastern Conference this year?
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks everyone for being here. Another great season. Looking forward to working with all you again this year. Excited to work with Doc for the full year. It's been a great offseason, and it's been vital, I think, to have a foundation to build from with systems, with coaching staffs, with a returning roster, and with some key additions. And I think for us to first take shape in the staff and really build out the staff the way that Doc wants it, the way that Doc needs it, was first and foremost. I think for us to figure out which key pieces to add to our returning core vet players was really important. You know, we have the 6 returning vets that you're all familiar with, and we're really excited about, and they're healthy. We were able to add, Torian Prince, DeLon Wright, and Gary Trent to that group, which was really important for us, and I'm sure we'll get into that later here in this session. And then for us to really see the work and the internal development of our young vets, as we call them, with Andre and AJ and Marjan and Chris Livingston, and then adding Tyler and AJ Johnson, I think, to round out the roster. It's been a lot of fun working with Doc and his staff building this group. It's been exciting to see the motivation of the group and the growth of the group, and it's been a great offseason so far.
And Doc, with those pieces that have been added, it's not hard to notice that some of the national discussions about the Eastern Conference, a lot of them start with Boston or Philly or New York, and it almost seems like the Milwaukee Bucks are an afterthought. I understand that some coaches and players don't even pay attention to that. Some do. Some use that as a chip to play with motivation. What's the antenna with some of the national discussions you feel like with the team going into the season?
Well, we all pay attention to it. I mean, we see it, we read it. You notice you're not playing on Christmas. I mean, there's a lot of little things that you can use. I don't think I have to use them. I think it'll use itself, if you know what I mean. At the end of the day, everybody's 0-0, and that's how the season starts, right? And, I'm more focused on us and being the best team that we can be. And at the end of the day, that'll do all the talking. And that's the way I look at our team.
Well, we appreciate the time. We'll open it up to the room. Again, first state your name and affiliation for documentation purposes. And mics will be going around. We'll start with Eric.
Eric Name, The Athletic. Hey, great to see you. Doc, I guess just going into this year, kind of what do you see as the biggest challenge for you trying to figure out this team?
Well, I would say, obviously health is not my challenge, but it's our challenge as a team. We want to, get to the playoffs healthy, right? But we want to be dominant all season and play well all season. And so to me, it's more about the connection of our team. The better continuity we can have through the year, through training camp. That's one of the reasons we're going away for camp, because that's a major focus for us. I believe with what we have returning and what we're bringing in, we have enough. But it only works if we do it like as a group and together with one mindset. And so I think that's my main focus.
Jim?
Jim Lazarski, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Good to see you both. John, last year you built a roster, and then it changed dramatically days before camp. Kind of nice to go into this. I know you only had 3 roster spots in terms of free agency, to sort of have a set and group, as you said, the 6 returning guys, and then to kind of know where to fit with Doc as well. So what was the approach with those 3 spots and then the players you landed? And was it kind of nice, I guess, to know who you were working with in that starting 4, maybe the front end of the bench?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I think like we do every year, but even more so this offseason, we took a really deep, critical look at our team and tried to figure out how we can improve. And I think the balance of this roster and the talent of this roster, we feel like we've improved. And I think some of the key things, maybe more generally speaking, we've talked about this in some of the draft settings, was really kind of catch and shoot ability, positional size, guys that are either at or approaching their primes, and guys that can really defend with physicality and be defensive playmakers. And I think we did the best that we could with the spots that we had available. It's really a credit to those players for choosing us. They weren't short of options, and in most cases, honestly, they chose less money to come play for us for a chance to win and for a chance to really compete and improve their careers. And so I think you're right. Having a set core returning group of guys that we believe highly in, and then figuring out the added pieces that we could push and how to develop the young players that we had on our roster, the Andres and Marjans and AJ Greens and Chris Livingstons of the world, so that they can fit into that system better, I think is going to pay off for us.
Ben?
Ben Steele, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Hey, guys. Doc, you mentioned health being the most important thing. Chris obviously had ankle surgery in the offseason. What's the plan for him with the workload for training camp and preseason? And then what's the plan for him during the season?
Well, during the season, we haven't decided yet. Obviously, we'll get to that. But through camp, he'll participate in camp. We won't have him doing a lot of live action, coming up to surgery and all that. But all our skeleton work, all our transition work, our transition D, our conditioning work, he'll be on the floor with us. He looks great. He's in the gym right now as we speak, working out. He's had a terrific summer overall. Physically, he's fit, and that's probably something he hasn't been able to say in a while, and feels great. So we want to keep it that way.
Jamal Collier with ESPN. Good to see you guys. I want to ask John and maybe both of you. Giannis mentioned toward the end of after the playoff run, and obviously he got hurt in back-to-back years, that perhaps it was just time to look at things differently, to try to see exactly how he can stay healthy. I'm just curious if you guys given any thought to any different approach with Giannis or anything that you guys can do to potentially keep him healthy, for the playoffs. Will you treat him any differently this season?
Yeah, Jamal, good question. When I say that we took a deep, critical internal dive to figure out how to get better, it's not just on the roster. I think we talked about Doc's coaching staff, my front office, the medical group. How can we improve there? We have the best medical group we believe in the world. We have incredible kind of systems and policies and processes in place, but everything has to continue to innovate and improve, and that's one of the things that we dove into. And so Doc just touched on a little bit. We've spent a ton of time with our players. Our players have spent a ton of time conditioning work. We're trying to build a great foundation to kick off the season. As the season progresses and we learn more about the team and the health and their conditioning and where they're at, we'll continue to adjust that and move that needle kind of right or left. And it's not – this isn't always about pulling back and restricting minutes and taking games away. Sometimes it's about pushing in the right times of the year, pushing more in the weight room, pushing less on the court. And so – we're really diving in all aspects. We've got a good plan in place that we're going to execute now, and then we're going to adjust as we go throughout the season.
Lori Nickel gets bonus points for sitting in the front row. Go ahead.
Thanks for. Okay, that's me from the Journal Sentinel. Both of you have worked with really great athletes who have done well in the Olympics. I wondered what you hope to expect from Giannis. I know it's a cultural experience and all that, but basketball-wise, what's the benefit of having somebody who played in the Olympics?
That's a good question. After it's over and I'm done holding my breath, that he came out great and healthy, I just think it's another life experience. You're experiencing basketball on an international level. It's a competition. I don't think it's ever bad for any athlete to be in a competition. I just think it builds your hunger mechanism or whatever that is, And listen, he's working on his game. It's funny talking to Steve Kerr about the Olympics and watching all the players. He was like, what he was most surprised is how much guys were actually working on their game for the following year, doing games and practices. So all that is above, and we got to see it visually. So I think that's good.
Steve?
Doc, you had mentioned going away from training camp and how that could build that connection. I didn't know what made you decide that would be one way, and just what's that? How do you feel that's going to benefit it? I know it's something you've done in the past with your other teams.
Yeah, I decided that literally 10 days here. I'm not kidding. I actually wrote that down 10 days after taking the job. We need to get this team away. And I use the example several times, but think about Dame. I always use last year. Dame gets traded, comes in the day before camp. The next day they practice. And what does he do after practice? Goes back to the hotel. Giannis goes home. Chris Middleton goes home. All the players go home. No connection. And that happens, and then the season starts. I think it's important that they'll be riding in the car together, to and from practice, going to dinners, spending time. I wish it was longer. Honestly, camp, 4 or 5 days now, for coaching is nuts to me, but it is what it is. It's what the NBA is now. But from a team standpoint, the longer they're together, it's nice that our first game's on the road, so that kind of extends it. No families, no friends around, just us, and I think that's good for our team.
Tony?
Tony Cartagena, ESPN Milwaukee. Doc, you've been around and head coach for some very heavy veteran teams in the past. You've had a lot of success with veteran teams in the past. When you look at those teams, to say like that Boston era compared to this one, now that you've had the whole offseason to kind of assess, do you see any parallels between just the ages of these guys and how you'll take that approach?
Yeah, we were having this discussion as a staff, and I don't want to compare any teams. I made the comment, this is the closest team that I've had to that Boston team since then, because of the age, the different groupings of age. I mean, that Boston team was young too, up front with Rondo, and those guys were second and third year players, and then you had the veterans. Well, we have some of that going on. You hope with all your veterans, they all make this choice. It's time, right? It's time to focus on winning only, because I always think every team, it has to be the right time. And I really believe this is a group that is in that mental place. Like it's time, or it's time again for some of them, So yeah, there's some similarities. They're not the same type of players in some ways, but with age and all the different ages, very similar.
All right, Jackson Gross, Brew Hoop. Good to see you again, Doc. John was talking about some like the young vets and like AJ and Ajax. Just where do you kind of see them fitting in this year, and what did you think of Ajax during summer league?
I think we had a great summer overall. I think AJ Green had an amazing summer overall, and that just you didn't see him much, but we saw him all summer. He was phenomenal. But all our young guys, that they put in some time, they put in some travel. They've been to Portland and hanging out with Dame. They've been to Greece with Giannis. They went to Phoenix, where we had Dame had a camp. They've been to L.A. For 5 days, where they all worked out together with all of our guys. I mean, they've been a traveling team, and they've all gone, and it's been absolutely wonderful. We've been in town with about 3 weeks now, all the guys. Playing pickup games, little bit of coaching, but more pickup games. And the one thing I think everyone sees when they look around is, holy crap, there's a lot of competition in this gym. And that is the great part from our standpoint. I think they all see it, and I think it's going to make camp really competitive.
Corey?
Corey Sparks of ESPN Radio here in Beaver Dam. This team, Doc, adds a couple of veterans in the offseason, Torian Prince, Gary Trent Jr. Can you speak on what you've seen from them, what you know about them, and how you could see them fitting into the roster this year?
Great question. The first thing I'd like to say is that we got these guys, and John said it, where they could have gone other places, other cities. I think two of them could have gone either L.A. or somewhere else, the great cities with all the money, and they chose us anyway. That says a lot to us, that they think that this is the right place. That speaks volumes to me. That speaks volumes around the league as well. And so that's to start. All three of those guys, I think DeLon, we thought we had a chance early on, but we wasn't sure. And then the other two, we had on the board, but we didn't think, honestly, when we're being honest with our salary structure, I mean, they both were way up there, and we were like, there's no way, but we hung in there. John's staff just kept connecting, and then at the very end, when we saw that we were still on their board, we didn't let go, and that's not an understatement. With both of them, with TP and Gary, we just literally never let go. We didn't let go of their family, their agents. Gary, I think, was pretty much sick of us, to say the least. And we told him we're not until you sign, and he did, which is nice. So they're just the veterans. I mean, they know how to play shooting, toughness, competitiveness. When you watch them in the gym, I love it because the competition level is high in these workouts, and it's been fun to watch.
Jim?
John, this time last year, Giannis came on stage and was like, no, I'm not going to address an extension now. And then a month later, he does it. and I'm curious, as you went into this offseason, what that recommitment meant, just from a broader, not just this summer, but 2 years out, and then even like as you look at sort of the 5-year plan of this team, and kind of the new CBA restrictions and the things you have to work with. So I guess starting there, what did that kind of do for you all heading into this year, and kind of as you look to build this team this year and a couple years down the line?
Yeah, I think organizations, teammates, individuals, I think you can be motivated by commitment, or you can be motivated by kind of, uncertainty. And I think that this organization has proven that as he commits to us and we continue to commit to him, but it's not just him. Dame is under contract, Chris is under contract. At this time last year, Brooke had re-upped, Bobby, Pat, kind of go down the list. And so I think having a foundation where we know what the group looks like, we know how to build, we know which style of play we're going to have, we know which stars that we're going to kind of build around, I think means everything. And so, again, another point of context of why I think going into this season we're in a better place, not just talent-wise, but just culturally and kind of commitment overall. I think it's just a better, healthier spot to be.
Lily in the back.
Hey guys, Lily Zhao, Fox 6 Milwaukee. Doc, just looking at your coaching staff, why was it important to bring back Darvin Ham?
Well, he has a connection here, number one. First of all, he's an excellent coach. I just started there. He's an excellent coach, and I thought he did a great job in L.A. He took his team to the Western Finals, and then he wins the the in-season tournament? Yeah, in the middle of the year, and then he gets let go for that. So he had proven that he's an excellent coach. He had connection with a lot of our guys here. He has a connection with the city. That was a recruiting job as well. It really was. I think Darvin, coaches, we get, when you get fired, it's emotional, and your first time, it's really hard. It really is. And I think Darvin was leaning more toward not working this year. He laughs because I told him that he was going to be a Buck. I didn't ask him. And I said, I'll check back with you. And he was like, well, that's how I'll call you. That's how the whole summer went for the most part until he finally signed. So I'm just so happy to have him. And it's funny. I've always respected him from afar, and now up close, he's even better. So it's been terrific.
Eric?
Eric Name, The Athletic. Doc, I guess this is our first kind of preseason with you. Do you go into a season thinking there's certain numbers that you got to hit, top 10 defense, top 10 offense? Like, how do you kind of view what it means to be a championship level team before the season?
Yeah, there's not numbers, but there are, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you just look historically, there are numbers. Top 15 in one, top 10 or 5 even in another, and you have to be in both. I think one team in the last 30 years have not been in that category. So clearly you have to be in that category. I mean, and so our focus have to be on both. You need balance. You really do. I've had teams that are in the top 5 in both, but I've had teams that are in the top 5 in one and 19 or 20 in the other, and the imbalance hurts. It bothers you, and that's where you're focused. So last year, that's what we were. This year we have to be a more balanced team.
My teammate Mel Ricks gets bonus points for being in the front row as well. Go ahead, Mel.
Hey guys, good to see you. Melanie Ricks, team sideline and digital reporter. Hope you both had a great summer. So from a leadership standpoint, what do you look forward to seeing from Damian Lillard, and how has the offseason been for you and your connection with him?
The connection's been great. I would say Dame likes to talk, as far as a star. He loves phone conversation. He loves face-to-face, and it's been good. I'm getting to know Dame as well. He's getting to know me. But more importantly, I think we're all getting to know him, and him kind of coming into being himself more. That's the biggest drive for me, is making him as comfortable as possible for him to be him, because we know what that looks like, and we want to get him back there.
We got both microphones to the side. Is that it, guys? Oh, Jim won't let us down. He'll keep going.
Yeah.
Well, aside from Chris, Doc, is anyone else maybe not going to be participating or limited in terms of the start of camp and anything like that?
No, I think unless I'm missing someone, I think we're all good. Great shape. We did a little conditioning. I don't even know if you call it a test. It was more a team builder. Everyone did it. Did it easy, which was great for us to see. And it's really cool watching them do it in the gym because anxiety again. Like everyone was worried about it. Like, oh my God, we had to do a test. I sent out this thing like a month ago, but I didn't tell them what the test was. And Dame, excuse me, Coach, what's the test? He was so concerned about it. And I think a week before I finally told him it wasn't a big deal. But in their minds, it was a big deal. And watching them do it was fantastic.
Go ahead, Mo.
And Jim, just to reemphasize, Chris is doing really well. Chris it's just like a normal off-season cleanup procedure. He literally is on the court right now as we're talking, and he'll be a very active participant in camp. So Chris is also healthy.
What are you looking forward to seeing from your rookies this season and them meshing with the team?
It'll be interesting. They're good, both of them. We had a great summer there as well. Tyler and AJ, they got a chance to play. I think they're gonna be NBA players for a long time. Man, they both are so skilled. There's nothing better than when you get a rookie that's skilled. We over the years, all of us, both of us, we get the project rookies, the athletic rookies, but when they just have an NBA skill walking in the door, it's a blessing, and they both do. They're both competitive. But as great as the summer, now the big boys come in, and they're going to get to play with those guys, and that will tell us a lot.
Eric?
We started kind of talking about health and how you manage that and all that. I'd be curious from both your perspectives. Jon, you got to work with Bud for 5 years in a row, and I think by the end of it, you had one brain. So for you two, what has it been like for Jon to get to know Doc and Doc to get to know Jon?
Yeah, I think for me, knowing Doc more kind of casually and from afar prior to working with him, and now whatever it's been, 9 or so months, we spend a lot of time together, and we're building that kind of continuity and collaboration. But at the end of the day, we want to win at a really high level, and we care about players at a really high level, and we value our staff and kind of their professional approach every single day. And so it's been a lot of fun learning his approach, how his staff approaches it, building new systems and kind of culture things in place, tackling the roster in different ways with Doc and his staff. And I've really, really enjoyed it, and I think we've grown professionally and personally along the way. And it's not fair to say that we have kind of the exact same view on it, but I don't want the exact same view on it. I want to, just the other day, I want to go back and forth a little bit and figure out, okay, what about this? What about that? And I think it's been very healthy and productive so far, and I look forward to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's if I know anything in my 25 years, the best team starts here. And when you have that, then you have a chance to win. And if you don't have that, it's going to be very hard to win. And Jon and I talk about this, our relationship has to be great. That doesn't mean we have to agree on everything, but that means once we are done fighting, we go to dinner, and that's very important. Like it's really important that, it starts from the top. And when your leadership level are aligned and we're all trying to do the same thing, then you have an excellent shot at it. That doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but we make them together. We can get stuff right, and we do that together. The players see that. They really do. When players see there's nowhere to go, it makes the team better, and that's where we're at.
My point guard vision is not as good. I lost the mic. They snuck it past me. Who's got it in there? Anyone? Last one. Okay, Jackson.
This is for both of you guys. What are you hoping to see out of MarJon this year? Obviously, at the end of next month, so you decide whether you pick up the fourth-year team option. So just what are you looking forward to seeing from him for this year?
Yeah, for me, it's just continued growth. He's putting in a lot of time, working really hard, and consistency. I mean, MarJon has had many moments in his first 2 years playing with us where he looks the part, he's performed, and he's helped his team win. At the end of the day, we want players on our roster that are going to help their team win. They're going to contribute to winning, and he's done that. He just has to show the consistency, and he's working really hard at that, and I think he's going to have a great year.
Same for me, just more. You know, listen, I come from a different standpoint. I thought for them, the young guys, that was probably the most unfair for them. When I came in the door, I had never seen them play. I hadn't seen them in the summers working out. I didn't watch them during the summer league the year before. There's no reason for me to watch them, right? Especially last year, I was retired or golfing or whatever I was. So that I can tell you, I didn't see one summer league game a year ago, is what I'm saying. And you know, coming in the door and now I'm listening to everyone that I didn't know, even with my staff. You know, I like him. It's nice now that I've seen him myself. He's another one that's had a great summer, and it's continuing in the gym. But at the end of the day, for all of them, young guys and vets, who can help us win? Who can fit in? Who fits our culture? That's what it's going to be for all of them. And it's really important, and he's been great thus far.
All right. Thank you.